Hello. So recently I got a comment under one of my video where a man said that why some older men follow my channel is because they have daughters my age. They want to see how women my age think, how we live, and I thought this was the sweetest thing ever. And I decided to make this video to fathers of daughters, not only people who know my journey or whatever, but just to everyone. And I want to say that I think fathers have a very unique role in parenting that a lot of people don't talk about, even though the so-called fatherless behavior and like fatherless daughter type of thing goes around on the internet, where basically people insult women by saying that they have no father. So I think two main and unique roles that fathers have in their daughter's life is one, showing your daughter that there is a man on this planet that wants her to be here, that loves her unconditionally. Because trust me, a lot of men are gonna want your daughter, but obviously with not good intentions in mind. And you know it, I know it, we all know it. So your daughter needs to know that she's more than that, and you are gonna show her that by showing her that you love her unconditionally. You don't get anything from it except her love back, which is difficult to get, but we'll talk about it. And second role, I think, is showing your daughter men are nothing special, which may be like a little bit controversial, but a lot of women who grow up without dads, and honestly any men in their family, they think men are different, men are unique. There's some reason why they don't have any men in their family, like men don't want to be around them or something. And I have a father, right? I have a father my whole life. And I never really wanted or craved male attention, especially in school, because I have a man at home. You know what I mean? I don't really care. I know men are just some guy. Most men are just some guy, and I'm not gonna just crave their validation just because they're a man. Because I know, to me, men are just normal people, because I have a dad who lived with me my whole life. You know what I mean? And that's like a very dangerous way of thinking, that men are supernatural and you need to get their attention or something. And I think we all know why. So it is difficult. It is difficult to raise a daughter, that's for sure. And another message I want to say is that no matter how old your daughter is, it's never late to be in her life. Trust me, okay? Unless she tells you to fuck off directly and she blocks your number and she doesn't tell her her address. Yeah, maybe that's a little too late. But until you're dead, until you're 6 feet under, trust me, there's a part of her that wants you in her life. Like, that's true. Honestly, all my friends that don't have fathers, like, one of my friend, her father left their family. He cheated on her mom. And one of the worst things a parent can do, her mother used to tell her how much she hated the dad. And if you as a father, you can't really change your daughter's relationship with her mom. However, one thing you can do is don't insult your daughter's mother in front of her. Even if you hate the woman, even if she was the most awful wife in existence, you don't know anything about her as a mother. Okay, your daughter knows. Your view is subjective, very subjective. So don't talk shit about your daughter's mother in front of your daughter, because she's gonna internalize it. She will. She will think that you hate the parts in your daughter that remind you of your wife or your daughter's mother, okay? Every woman I know whose mother hated the father, right? Their husband, their ex-husband, whatever, they talked shit about him in front of the daughter. And that daughter thought that all the things that resemble her dad, like, they're bad. And they hated themselves for that. And I'm also like that, because my mom also talked shit about my dad a lot. And only now, only for the recent few years that I finally moved out of the house, and I don't really listen about my parents talk about each other, I can have this healthy relationship with them, because I know they're spouses, they have their own issues, but those issues have nothing to do with me. I know my father loves me, I know my mother loves me, And whatever beef they have going on has nothing to do with me. But I resemble my father the most in my family out of all the children. And since my mother used to talk shit about my dad a lot, I really used to despise myself because I thought, not only I despised myself for that, but I also thought my mother hated me. Like I was the least loved child because I resembled my dad so much and she just couldn't stand it. We had a lot of fights. Honestly, I think me and my mom had the most beef growing up because she couldn't stand my dad and I was like my dad. So, but so don't do that. Another thing, how to show your daughter you love her unconditionally. Well, you probably know better. You probably know how to do that better because you are the father. I'm not, right? But I would say that consistency is really the key. Big gestures, they're good, they're nice sometimes, but without consistency, they're nothing. You have to show your daughter you care about her. Don't call her once a year, call her every other week, or every week, even better. And even if the first times, like if you haven't talked in a long time, or maybe you never really talked, it's not too late to start. Genuinely, it's not too late. Even for the first few calls you have, or the first few conversations you have, they might be a little bit awkward, right? Or they might be boring even for you. Listen to your daughter. Because, you're kind of like strangers and you just talk about nothing, about nonsense. It's going to be like small talk. But trust me, when she sees that you want to talk to her consistently, like you remember her, there's not you don't just remember about her like once in a while. No, you always have her in your head. She's going to open up to you. And you'll also get used to talking to your daughter and you'll open up to her. Because again, it's not like it's easy for you. I know it's difficult to talk to your daughter, especially as a dad in your like 40s, especially when the daughter is already grown up. You don't know how to talk to women her age. So I know it's hard, but she will accept you. She will, because all daughters, they're very empathetic, I think, towards their fathers. They all think, I know it's hard for my dad. And even if they think, I know it's hard for him, but he still needs to try better. That's true. Like, you still need to try better, right? Because you brought her into this world, she doesn't have to love you if you were never there. So you have to try to do that. And I know it sounds like a lot of work. It sounds hard, and it also sounds very unrewarding, I guess. But that's the thing. Being a good parent is really not for everyone. So you really have to think, do you actually want to do that? You know what I mean? Because if you don't think that your daughter's love to you is worth all this consistency, all those efforts, then don't even try, because there's nothing more that I think daughters and children in general hate when a parent does the bare minimum, because now the child feels like they have to give something back. But they don't want to do that because, like if you just give her money for food one time, now she feels like she owns you something, but she can't really reciprocate. You know what I mean? Reciprocate? No, that's not how you say that. But basically, yeah, she feels like she needs to do something back, but she doesn't know how. Like, you don't want her there. You don't talk to her. You're not there. What is she supposed to do? You know what I mean? But I want to say, yeah, children are a very long process. And, at the end of the day, you have to be ready that it's not going to maybe it's not going to worth it. You have to be ready for that. But that's true. Having children is unconditional. And honestly, I never wanted kids. I had a thought about it, but then I thought I'm going to be a bad parent because I know, like, you have to raise your children, you have to love them unconditionally, and, children are forever and all that stuff. But now that I actually see and feel this love inside my family, how we all love each other unconditionally, I actually see the beauty in it, and I finally realize, while it's not for everyone, because it's a very long-term commitment that not everyone is ready for, I see why it's worth it, and I see how it's so unique when your kids love you back and then you love your parents back. Because I just want to say, Like, even if you have troubles with her when she's a teenager and all that stuff, you shouldn't give up on her. You shouldn't. I don't like, really. Also, take everything I say with a grain of salt because, I'm not a father, right? I speak from a daughter's perspective, but I still see how it's difficult. And I see how it was difficult for my dad, but I know he's always there. I know he loves me, even when he doesn't know how to show it. I just know he's always there. He never thought, oh, I'm such a bad father, I should just stop trying. No, the thing is, he's always there. He still tries. And if he still tried like the bare minimum how he did years ago, I would speak so much differently now. But he actually tries more. He tries better. And now I can see how happy he is that his kids love him, that we come to his house, right? Because a lot of kids don't want to see their parents ever. And we come to our parents' house and we love them, and we talk to them and we call them and they call us, and it's beautiful. So, yeah, show your daughter that you love her unconditionally, that she doesn't need to, that you're proud of her, that you're glad that she's in this world because you made her essentially. And even if you think that saying some mean things to her is not a big deal, even if you think that not talking to her is not a big deal, it's not a big deal for you because you're an adult and this is your daughter, right? But it matters to her because you are the father. I mean, you know how much things that your parents do affect you and affected you when you were a kid. So trust me, it affects her a lot. And yeah, that's why try to be careful with her. She's still a kid, right? Because if she's an adult, she already has her opinions about you and all that stuff. But even if she acts as if she doesn't expect you to change, that doesn't really mean anything. You should still try. But again, don't expect the results like within a month. No, it's gonna take years, but I think it's gonna worth it. I really think it's such a beautiful relationship between a father and a daughter. And even though my parents are not perfect, I really want to say they did a good job, especially my dad, in showing me that men are nothing special and I don't need a man in my life to feel fulfilled because not that I don't need a man, it's that I have a man in my life and that's my father. And that's really important. You don't want your daughter to think men are supernatural. You don't want her to go after any guy she meets. You're not raising someone's wife. You're raising a woman that needs to live her life somehow, with a man or without a man. So yeah. I hope this was helpful. I hope this wasn't just some rambling about nonsense. I hope you know what I mean. Okay, and I don't call anyone out on being a bad father. Honestly, if you're a bad father your whole life, trust me, your children want you to change still. Somewhere deep in their hearts, they want it. Okay? Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. And tell your daughter you love her.